Hello everybody, my name is David. Thank you for watching. This is a question and answer video part 2. If you missed part 1, please go back and watch it. What I'm doing is I'm answering people's questions from the last Q&A video, last Monday. I do this every single Monday. So if you have a question today, go down in the comment section, ask anything you want. I'll answer it in the next Q&A video next Monday. Let's see, I always recommend things on part 1, and I just want to bring this up again today on this video. I recommended that you guys watch survival shows, particularly ones with more than one people, so that you guys can watch and humans interact with each other under extreme conditions, deprivation, stress. The more stress people have, the more people tend to act not like themselves. Impulsivity, things we regret and ashamed of. Okay, so it's so important. This shows that it's so important that you guys must meet your needs. They're not wants, they're needs. You don't meet your needs, it's stressful. We make poor decisions and ruin our lives. So I recommended a few shows. One's Naked and Afraid. Then there's Naked and Afraid XL. There's Man, Woman, Wild. And there's Dual Survival. And there's also an amazing television show called The Colony. They're all survival shows with more than one people, and they really show what happens under extreme stressful conditions when we do not meet our needs. So enjoy those. I highly recommend them. Let's get started with the questions. The first one in part 2 is from Audrey in Canada. Hello, Audrey. I completely sabotaged. I'm so embarrassed. 1 year and 3 months out, I broke no contact. I impulsively went to see my ex, who is with the new supply, number 3 by now, to offer my freaking friendship. In summary, I was brushed off with sweet and sour words. Dissed on Facebook by her friends. But the portal is open now. What's going to happen, and how should I deal with it by then? Would it ever be okay to be friends with my ex, who is BPD, who I care for deeply about still? If I set healthy boundaries, I'm terrified, I'm scared, I'm ashamed, but mostly embarrassed. I've been wanting to see my ex as a narcissist for the past year as a defense mechanism. That day, I had been to my first visit with a neuropsychologist who unintentionally said certain things about BPDs that gave me hope. I was in La La Land when I left his office, and poof, impulsively, without knowing I was going to do this, I went to see my ex. Is there hope for a friendship? If I get help to do it, if I put up healthy boundaries and respect my boundaries, I almost need to change countries, but I can't because I'm starting a new job, huge upgrade job that I worked hard to get, and here I am sabotaging myself. It's so hard to see things for what they are because it's not white, it's not black, and it's hard to know. I'm so sorry, Audrey. I see kind of where you are. That's too bad. I'm glad you're seeing a psychologist. That's great. Keep doing it. If they're not serving you well, go see a different one. Don't give up. Let them know all of this. Okay? I found it most interesting when you said, after a year and 3 months, you broke no contact. You impulsively went to see your ex. So what does that tell me? Impulsivity, emotional instability. So Audrey, you must on the daily be having lots of different emotions, too many, and you feel unstable. You need some stability. You need to get rid of so much emotion. So you have stresses in your life, and it may not just be this. It may be somebody else in your job and things like this we need to fix. The more stresses we have, the more impulsive we become. So you need stability in your life, Audrey. We need to stay where you are. I see you're thinking about I need to leave countries. The more unstable we are, the 3 factors start going woo, woo, woo. Relationships, jobs, and locations where we live. So you probably want to quit your job and start dating them again or somebody else, and you want to move countries, and you're becoming more and more impulsive. Tell your psychologist. You need stability. You feel unstable. You're making impulsive decisions and choices, and he should know how to help your life become more stable. Get rid of stress. We need to be very clear and conscious of what's going on, of what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and why, and really clear on the decisions we are making. So start trying to see exactly how bad this relationship was. Start trying to list all the bad things so you know what you're going back to. Clear, cautious. Cognitive. Cognitive is your senses taking in information. So give yourself more and more and more information, more perspectives from different people, more advice. Ask more questions, learn more about yourself. You're terrified, you're scared, you're ashamed, mostly embarrassed. You don't trust yourself. Your brain doesn't trust you, making bad decisions that hurt you. More support. You need more. You've only been to your first visit with your doctor, so more often. Maybe even another one. Maybe even a life coach too. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people helping you. I'm serious. On Team Audrey. Team Audrey, right? People come to me for help, right? If I could, which you can, but if I could have a cheerleading squad of 10, 20 people, you know, you hire me as a client, you get the squad. They follow you around all day going, Audrey's the best, she's the greatest. You're not going to make decisions like this. We need people in our lives. We need support, okay? And if we have people that don't support us in our life, that's counterproductive. That makes us more or less stable, more impulsive. We make more worse decisions. We sabotage ourselves. And we do things like this and it causes more shame. So if we're doing things that cause shame, that's from shame. Shame makes us make bad decisions. Shame makes us hurt ourselves. We're ashamed of ourselves, we hurt ourselves. Look what narcissists do. Full of shame, they hurt other people. We need to feel better about ourselves, Audrey. We need to form a relationship with ourselves. Start loving ourselves. Most of you guys don't even, sadly, know what that means. You probably think it's a lot of hogwash, right? It's not. It's not. Lots of things people do show me that they don't love themselves. Worrying. Worrying is proof that you don't love yourself. Not trusting yourself. Being scared of yourself and your choices and your decisions, things like this. Start a relationship with yourself, Audrey. Start finding out who you are. You already know a lot of things you don't like. Start finding out what you do like. Okay? Good luck, Audrey. Keep working, have people support you and know exactly what's going on, okay? Good luck. So, next question is from 2018 Music. And please, you guys, tell me your locations when you ask a question. Just tell us where you're from. Thank you very much. So, your question is, which comes first? Narcissistic abuse or alcoholism? And sadly, I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. So, I'm just going to assume a couple things that you could be asking. I'm going to answer them. If I misunderstand, just ask me again, please, next week. One of the things I thought you might be asking is when a doctor diagnoses a patient, they go down a list, what's first? And this is why people with borderline personality disorder are misdiagnosed as bipolar disorder, because they go down a list of things and mood disorders comes before personality disorders. So they'll go down to the mood disorders and say, yeah, this fits good enough, and stop there when they should have kept going to personality disorders and realized that that fits better. So what a doctor, this is just what I've been told and what I've heard, and I agree, that a doctor, it's hard for a doctor to diagnose one of their patients with a personality disorder if they're an alcoholic or drug addict. These kinds of addictions lead to behaviors that are similar to personality disorders. So if the doctor's not aware that you're a drug addict, but they're aware of your behaviors, they might assume you have a personality disorder, when in fact you're just on drugs. And once you stop doing drugs, you stop exhibiting behaviors or traits that suggest you have a disorder. So alcoholism would come first. Personally, I believe doctors shouldn't diagnose people with personality disorders if they have such bad addictions like this. If that's what you're asking, I don't know. Maybe you're asking, does a narcissist abuse if they're an alcoholic? See, I don't know what you're asking. I'm sorry. I really am. I really wish I could answer this question for you. But if I'm not sure what you're asking, I don't know how to answer it. There was one other possibility I was thinking you might be asking. I can't remember what that is now. I just can't. I don't know. And even somebody said good question, so they understand what you're asking, but I don't. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. Just try to ask me again. Ask me, give me more information. Be more specific if you can, please. Thank you. I really wish I could answer this. Which comes first, narcissistic abuse or alcoholism? Yeah, I just don't understand. Can you become an alcoholic because of narcissistic abuse? Yes. Therefore, abuse would come first. I'm not going to keep guessing. Please ask me again. I'd love to answer your question. And then that leads me to tell all of you. I try to answer everybody's question. So if I missed your question, I may have answered it, typed it in, and not read it. Go back to your question, it might be there. I might have just missed it, not seen it. I might have seen it and somehow skipped it while I'm answering questions. I might misunderstand your question. You may not understand my answer. Things like this. Just ask me again. That's what I'm here for. I don't get bothered. I don't get annoyed. I don't care if they're repeat questions. If I don't understand them, I get it. Just ask me again. Please, you guys. You got to find the answers. If it's important enough for you to ask one time, ask again. Find the answer somewhere. Okay? Thanks. Next question is from Azra in Florida. Hello, Azra. Thank you for answering my question in the previous Q&A. You're welcome. Based on your experience and the people you know or have treated, how long does the love bombing stage usually last? Or for how long can they keep the relationship in a good term before they start acting all weird? Devaluation. Well, I'm going to answer that first. You go on with more about your particular situation. And, you know, this is stuff that can be different. People all are different. And so everybody idealizes. This love bombing stuff is idealization. We all do it. Most all of us do it to some point. Typically, if you want to put a time stamp on it or a timeline, typically people tend to be on this pink cloud or cloud 9, they call it, you know, idealized stage that we all do. Tends to be about 6 months before hormones start to drop, where we better have a good solid foundation in our relationship, where there's going to be problems. And with a narcissist who doesn't connect, big problems. So about 6 months. I hope that helps you. Obviously, it could be different, shorter, longer, different people, different scenarios, different environment. So, and then you ask, how long can they keep the relationship on a good term before they start acting all weird and devaluing you? I've heard of relationships, you know. Here's the thing. You're being specific on devalue. So that kind of behavior, abuse and stuff, it could not happen for quite a while. In some cases, I've heard a couple years and stuff. What I have found is they've been doing it before you thought. They were abusing you before. They were devaluing before you knew. There's little things they're doing and saying that were wrong and abusive before the 2 months, before the 6 month period when you thought that's when it started. Because we're not very aware of how bad our relationship was. We can't be. There's nobody that can be in an extremely traumatic, abusive relationship for a period of time and be fully aware of it all. We wouldn't stay. You see that? We build our nest up wherever we are if we're going to stay, and we try and make it as comfortable as possible, so we ignore a lot of stuff and don't see a lot of things. If this was, you know, present in our childhood, it's not a big deal in our adulthood when we see these red flags. Well, I've had red flags my whole childhood. That's the way my father's always acted. No big deal if my boyfriend does it. Whereas somebody else who's never experienced that's like, whoa, what the hell is this? You know? So awareness, consciousness, the answer to your question, about 6 months. So you go on to talk about your personal experience a little more details. You said, I'm asking because my case is different than everything I have heard, and I wonder. I usually see how these relationships last for months to years. Mine was only good for a month. And even though we were just talking for a few months and he always acted weird, I never paid much attention to that because I was doing other things. And I was not going to pay much thought on someone I just met. But well, let's start doing that, right? Let's start paying more attention and more thought on people we just met. Because what happens is we kind of ignore it and excuse it and look somewhere else until we're attached to them. It becomes much harder. That's why when I tell people that want to date many people. Don't just date one person at a time and wonder, is this going to work? Is this the right person? And attach to them and then form a relationship with someone you don't want to be with. Date lots of people. Know what you like. Know what you don't like. Okay? Trying to think of anything else I can tell you. So yours was only good for a month, see? And who knows how good that month was anyways. I bet as time goes on, you'll realize that month wasn't that great. Yeah. Fake. Hope that helps. Please ask me more if you have more questions or didn't understand. Okay, thanks. Anna from Paris. Hello, Anna. A question about narcs and borderline couples. I think there is that bizarre but strong attraction between these kinds of people, which always ends rather tragically, isn't it? But if there is a child from such a relationship, how the child copes with parents like that, how he adapts, what kinds of troubles can he develop, and what work should he do on himself? Or we should rather consider a child like that as an orphan? Thank you and best wishes. You're welcome, Anna. Thank you. So what happens to children who are raised by borderlines and narcissists? They turn out like us. They date borderlines and narcissists, or they become borderlines and narcissists. This is all just unhealthy, neglectful, abusive behavior. All of it from parents, right? So, children that are abused, okay? Children that are abused tend to abuse other people or hurt themselves. Whether it's sabotage their job all the time, do drugs, drive dangerously, cut themselves, commit suicide, or they hurt other people. That tends to be what happens. They don't learn very good coping strategies. If both your parents are disordered and abusive, your coping strategy might be to run away, to do drugs, to hurt somebody, to hurt yourself. Things like this. Those aren't very good coping mechanisms or strategies. They don't learn it. They don't know how to self-soothe. They're constantly traumatized. Somebody who's experienced lots of childhood trauma, if they don't get help, they will just keep re-traumatizing themselves. I know borderlines, histrionics, narcissists, you can't get anywhere near them without them accusing you of abusing them. You can't even say, hi, how are you? They'll be like, well, why'd you say it like that? And they think you abuse them. They're just constantly re-traumatized by everything. Everything. This is what happens. If you're raised in abuse and neglect, you don't learn how to meet your needs, so you become dependent on other people. Codependency, trauma disorders, PTSD, CPTSD, personality disorders, mood disorders, addictive disorders, eating disorders, all kinds, hundreds, all kinds of problems. CPTSD is an umbrella for many of these things: anxiety, depression, addiction. Anything else? I mean, you raise a child on abuse and neglect, anything could happen. Anything's possible. They could grow up killing people. They could grow up committing suicide. They could grow up to be a great person. That's up to them. Something I've been learning is personality disorders are developed during childhood, but at some point we all have a choice. At some point we reach like adolescence, adulthood, we got to start making choices for ourselves. And that forms who we become for the rest of our life. You can see people who had bad backgrounds, not much of a chance. Something helped them to make better choices for themselves and not become abusive and toxic. And they stuck to it. Some people don't. Some people don't make these choices very well for themselves, and they decide to manipulate people, and it worked for them, they keep doing it. So, yeah. You have narcissistic or borderline parents, you don't have much of a chance in having skills you need to meet your needs, to have functional, healthy relationships where you grow. So, yeah, we already know, doctors know, scientists know that children that are abused and neglected usually grow up to be abusive and neglective to themselves or to somebody else. Okay? They tend to date people like this or victimize others. Okay? Hope that makes sense. Very common. Narcissists and borderline couples. Very common. Disorder. Unhealthy. It's funny, some of the questions I get about who narcissists date, right? It's nobody healthy. It doesn't happen. They have to date someone unhealthy. They have to date somebody that would date someone with the lowest self-esteem ever. They have to find someone who would date somebody who has massive shame. Somebody who doesn't meet their needs. Someone who doesn't meet their needs. They need to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't need, that has all these needs and is okay with none of them being met. They need to find somebody who will date somebody who offers no security in their relationship and is unstable, and you can't have confidence in them and trust them. They want to date somebody that doesn't hold them responsible for anything. No responsibilities. They want to date somebody who doesn't hold them accountable for any of their actions, behaviors. See? I'm going on and on. And narcissists typically will raise borderlines. Big time. Many, many borderlines come from narcissistic parents. Next question is from Jeannie in Alabama. Hello, Jeannie. David, I haven't asked a question in a long time, but I'm hurting. Why does it sneak up on me and hurt all over again? It will be 2 years in October. I had to have contact with him. Cody overdosed again, and thank God he survived. But the very next night, my son Bobby was in ICU with alcohol poisoning, and I am falling apart. Jeannie, your children are no longer your responsibility. Your children are grown adults, okay, and they're destroying your life. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying this is horrible, Jeannie. But if you're going to make your environment with unhealthy, toxic, negative, pessimistic people, that is your life, period. If we choose to have a husband or wife that is crazy, we're sharing our brains with them for the rest of our life. Good luck with your brain. If we choose to have people in our life that are alcoholics and drug addicts, you'll have no security in your life. You'll have no privacy. Here's my list of emotional needs. You will not get the attention you require. You will not have security. You will not be able to be autonomous. You will not have privacy. You will not have emotional connection. You will not feel part of a wider community. You will not have friendship, intimacy, status within social groups, competence, achievement, meaning, and purpose. You will not have your needs met. You will feel unstable like you do, and you will make bad decisions and sabotage your life, Jeannie. So, what do? Just make sure everything you do, whatever your choice is, best says who you are and that you love yourself, Jeannie, not someone else. There's a fine line between helping and enabling. You're enabling your children, Jeannie. You're enabling them. We're not helping them, or if you are, it's not working, right? They're going in and out of jail, in hospitals, overdosing on drugs and alcohol. I couldn't handle it, and nobody else in the world can. So you can't either, Jeannie. We need to get away from this. You said you were grateful to God and Jesus Christ. They both survived, but their dad If God and Jesus Christ is what's helping you, then go towards that. Something. Go to church every day. I don't know, Jeannie, but we've got to get rid of these people out of our lives. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's your pastor, your lawyer, your doctor, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother, your sister, your aunt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have human beings that are negative and pessimistic, not responsible, not hold themselves accountable. They destroy themselves. They're pessimistic, negative, toxic. You cannot have them in your life, period. Somebody asked me earlier, What if can we still be friends? And back to you, I never finished asking that. Can you still be friends with a borderline? I guess. Will they be a good friend? No. So we know you can be a good friend, but they have to be a good friend. And they are not. They abused you. Are they sorry? No. They told you that they're sorry. They're really aware of all the abuse they get. Why would you want to be their friend? Your self-worth just goes lower and lower and lower. You want to have children treat you like this, Jeannie? Your self-worth is lower. You want to be a good mom? Be healthy. Don't have bad people in your life. Guess that means have them out of your life. I'm sorry, Jeannie, but this is real. These aren't 12-year-old children anymore. You're not responsible for them anymore. And the fact that you feel like you are makes them irresponsible. I've been answering questions for you, Jeannie, for a long time. And almost every question you have is about your toxic children. You sit right here. My youngest overdosing again, and my oldest son in ICU with alcohol poisoning. I am running crazy. I'm not strong enough to lose my sons. How are your sons in your life helping you be stronger? You want to be stronger, lose your sons. This can be temporary, Jeannie. You want your sons to change? Don't make it so easy for them. Allow them to fail. Think of a child who never ties his shoes and keeps tripping on them and falling. What if you, all you're doing, Jeannie, is catching their fall, picking them back up, and not telling them that their fucking shoes are untied? Maybe you're tying it for them every time. They never learn to tie their shoes. You can't do it all the time for it, Jeannie. You can't follow them around and tie their shoes all the time and catch them falling. But when they fall, they know that hurts. They don't want to do it again. Let them fail. The biggest decisions in our life come from the biggest loss or fear of it. Sometimes all we need is fear. Sometimes we don't need to lose everything. They need to lose everything. They need to stop having mom there for them, bailing them out, picking them up at the hospital, cooking them something to eat. No. You let them have nothing and sit there and realize anything I want in my life, I have to go do it myself. Then they'll learn. That's the only way they have a chance, Jeannie. They're not learning anything now. They haven't learned anything yet. Something different. That should be very apparent. If you don't agree with me, you say it's hard and you want the answers, well, we can't keep doing the same thing. So something different. Change something. Change something. And I hope that you can show that you love yourself by making the right decision. Be vulnerable. Take a chance. Don't be scared. Make the right choice for you. And that's, children, get away from me. I can't have you in my life. You hurt me. You hurt yourself, and you're not going to get help. You're not going to fix it. I can't have you in my life. When you do, I'm right here. When they fix these things, here's mom. If they don't want to, they don't care about mom. Mom needs to care about herself. Okay? Jeannie, please. Please. Get more support. Get help. I hope you're still seeing somebody. People like this help us make these hard choices for ourselves. Good luck. Horrible situation. Drew from the Pacific Northwest. Hello, Drew. I recently took steps to press charges and get a restraining order against my ex-narc after an incident that put me in the hospital. Should I second guess pressing charges on her? I fear for how she might retaliate against me, such as targeting my family in some way. She had never been physically abusive until now, so I have no idea what she is capable of anymore. Are my fears founded in reality, or should I just go ahead with what I'm doing? Part of me wants her to learn a lesson and finally pay a price for her years. Who cares? This is over. Who cares what you want her to do and learn and all that crap? Take care of Drew. So Drew's scared. Drew's scared of her. Well, you don't need to be scared of her, right? You're scared that she's going to target your family in some way. That's anxiety, not fear. You're worried about what might happen, could happen. That's just anxiety. I suggest you learn how to help anxiety, okay? Press charges on her, then you don't have to worry about her retaliation. That's the whole point of pressing charges. get a lawyer, document everything, have the lawyer write her a letter saying, you will not harass my family or myself. Unwanted attention is the definition of harassment. Harassment's illegal. So she can't harass you. She can't. She's not allowed to. She does, she goes to jail. Keeps contacting you after you have a restraining order, she goes to jail. Just get the restraining order. It's not to teach her a lesson. It's not to punish her. It's so that you feel better. Right? So that's being emotionally responsible, and you feel like that's the only thing you can do left to take care of this. Make sure of that. Make sure that there's not other options that you can consider that you would like to do. And if you come to the realization that this is all you can do to stop it, then you better do it. Because you got to do something to stop this, Drew. You can't allow this to continue. It's making you feel bad, so being responsible makes it stop. Good luck. Tell your lawyer about all this. They'll help you. Edith from Quebec, Canada. Hello. David, sometimes the weight is so heavy to climb up the ladder. Scary up there. The horizon is endless. Any thoughts? No more mirage. Yeah, it can be very scary. But try to realize that being vulnerable and doing things that scare us is what helps us achieve success in something. We've got to take a chance. Narcissists won't be vulnerable. Narcissists can't even apologize because if I say I'm sorry to you, I'm vulnerable. You could hurt me. We've got to do things we're scared of. Most of the time, what we're scared of, we realize we built it up in our heads. We don't need to be. Best way to do this, Edith, support. You have your friends, you have your family, you have a doctor, another person. Like I said, if you had a cheerleading squad that was on Team Edith cheering you on all day long, you'd be able to do anything you want. Doing this by yourself, good luck. Okay? People and support. That's what we need, guys. Next question is from, this is going to stop, I think. Where are we at? Yeah, I got to stop this and do a part 3. I thought I'd be able to finish this in 2 parts. I'll see you in part 3, guys. Thanks. Please support this by voting, commenting, sharing.